Nutcracker Ballet Watch Party Zoom meeting, question and answer time we've got a bunch of nice people here. Maria Nicely, who is the choreographer of Nutcracker, as well as Tabitha Higby Highland, who was one of the featured dancers and is also a teacher at Moonridge School of Dance. I always get that wrong. Anyway, I had the privilege of being in there. That's why I'm dressed up like an idiot right now, because this is the costume I wore when I got to play Herr Drosselmeyer in the show, The Nutcracker. So we're going to open it up to questions for anybody. We've recorded this so that you can take a look at it later on. But anyway, here we are, and we're ready to roll. So if anybody has a question, that would be great. Come on, Scott.
Okay, I have a question.
Tori has a question.
Right. Okay. Can you talk about the rehearsal process that you went through in order to put this beautiful, huge production on?
We actually started our auditions in June, and we started actually rehearsing the major roles in August, and then we brought in the rest of the cast in September. So we usually spend about 6 months getting the cast together and getting the choreography done and spending time rehearsing. So it takes a lot of work to put those 3 nights on. And I'm sure Miss Tabitha and Miss Julia can attest to the amount of hours and the amount of backstage time that we spent getting this together. But again, it took us about 6 months, and it went from a couple of days or a couple of evenings a week to about 5 to 6 evenings a week getting ready for the show.
So if you're putting on a production of the Nutcracker with a professional company, they have their choreography set. It doesn't change every year. Their dancers are not literally growing and progressing in their technique. So we have to reset our choreography every year, because we have different dancers at a different level every year. The other tricky thing is that we have a very young cast, and so it's very challenging to rehearse long hours because they're so young. So we have to do shorter hours starting earlier in the year, and that means starting in August, whereas if like a professional company, you might not start until the beginning of October for the Nutcracker. So it's a completely different ballgame to put on a Nutcracker in a training or a youth company than it is in a professional company.
Yeah, and the cast is kind of like flip-flop completely different the next year too, because of that whole thing. So it's not like, oh, just play that part you played again necessarily. So that's a difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
We have dancers who graduate, we have dancers who move, we have dancers who level up, we have dancers who quit, we have dancers who decide to scale back. So it just changes everything every year.
2 years ago, I got to really enjoy it. One of my students, Faith Demont, was in there, and just thoroughly, I was so impressed with your performance this show. I was noticing the wide age range that you have. And one thing that struck me is many of your guys have a very good stage presence. They were not just dancing, but they had that nice stage presence. I was wondering what you did with this wide range of people, help them develop not just dance skills, but acting, performing skills too.
We actually have a wonderful teacher, Teresa Hoffman. I'm sure you might know her. She actually comes in and helps the acting part of it. We really work on character work, getting them to really think about who they are and what that background is, even though it is not a speaking role where they're dancing, but so that they're really immersed in the character. And I think that the long hours of rehearsal, all this time that we spend in character, helps them find a place to be comfortable there. And I think that really helps with the presence and how they present themselves on stage. And I really have to thank Miss Teresa Hoffman a lot for that, because she really does a wonderful job of helping pull that character out of them. And I think that really is the foundation for that.
So I will also say, though, that in the rehearsal process, when Maria is teaching the choreography, she's not just saying, and tombe, pas de bourrée. Like, she acts the part as she's teaching them. And I do the same with her. So when we're in rehearsal with them, we're not just telling them what to do. It's a hands-on coaching process when you have children this young. So what we call the corps de ballet, the youngest was Ella Dumont, who is 9, and then we had Shelby, who had just turned 10. Faye had just turned 12. Jordan was Clara. She had just turned 12, and that's it. And then there's Kristen and I, who are adults. We're of an age. And then we have the little ones, the petite corps, who were anywhere between 7 and 11. But mostly what the little ones were, we had 2 7-year-olds and a 9-year-old, is that right?
We had 2 5-year-olds who played the mice.
No, not in the babies, but the petite corps, the 4 girls.
Yes, we did have Scarlett, who is 7. We had 2 7-year-olds. Yes.
Yeah, and then I think Angie is a little bit older.
Angie was 8. Yes.
Yeah.
8.
But I mean, and then like she was saying, the mice, the little ones are 5. Like the company that I trained with, you're not even allowed on stage until you're 7, because when you're 5, it's like herding kittens.
But they're adorable kittens.
That was kind of a follow-up question. Knowing that you're dealing with some young people, do you have some stories of unpredictable, unique things that happened to young people there? 2
Nutcrackers ago, a little mouse got terrified of the Rat Queen and refused to go on stage. He was weeping with fear.
That's right.
And he was like, I'm done. And he like took off his costume and marched out and cried. He was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Oh, funny.
Last year we had a wonderful young student, Maddie, who was special needs, and we had choreographed her into the battle scene as a mouse, and for the most part, she ended up sitting on the couch and watching with amazement as everything was going on in front of her and reacting, which turned out to be a wonderful thing to have happen, because the audience reacted to her reacting, and it was just absolutely wonderful and totally unexpected. That was incredible.
But one thing that's crazy is you have to think about the girls are counting the music, right? So we have to know when we come in, when things happen. And the Nutcracker Suite music is actually fairly complicated. So what we had to do is, for the really tiny ones, set visual cues for them to know when to do what, because there is no way we can expect them to count that kind of music. It's difficult for us as adults, let alone these little ones. But our medium corps and our senior corps, their children, they counted. And we did set a lot of visual cues, but Shelby, Faye, Ella, and Jordan were really on top of knowing their entrances, knowing the count that they were supposed to be on, because I don't know, in ballet there's a lot of what's called canon. In vocals it's called a round, but the canon means you have to be on your count. And we partnered with them usually, but they couldn't always see us. So they knew their counts, which is amazing.
Yeah. Very proud of those girls.
I know.
They did an amazing job.
And it makes everyone else's job so much more pleasant and fun too. I wanted to say something about the people in the show. I've done it a couple times, and I will do it forever. It was so much fun. But
I will hold you to that.
I heard it.
But I enjoyed the learning process because I do all sorts of stuff on stage, but to do something where you're 100% basically pantomiming every single move you make is a whole different thing, and having to be broader with it and having to be more specific and articulate with your movement, whether it was dance or just standing on the stage and reacting to what's going on. I also very much appreciate the fact that we've got kids, so to speak, dancers in the cast that were a part of the cast. I mean, it was a great thing for people like Jimmy to be in that cast, and Lance, and because it helps you so much in your decorum and your demeanor and your confidence and all that kind of stuff. Plus, it gives you another experience on stage that is different than being in a play or a show or a concert. So totally. I think that was really, really fun.
Honestly, the teenagers were the most unruly part of rehearsals, if we're
Yes,
being
they were.
honest. Like our 5-year-olds were better behaved than our 17-year-olds.
You are correct.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But they're tall and they can move, and you know.
We had
And
to
they
have
were willing
someone
to
play
do it.
men.
What's that?
We had to have somebody play the men, and it was really
Exactly, yeah.
difficult because
Yeah.
most of the dads work in some kind of industry where they're just not available at those rehearsal times. So even if they wanted to do it, because we prefer that,
Yeah.
they just weren't available. And
Right.
so we were like, who can we get? Whip those teenage boys into shape. We were like, stand like men.
And also, this is great having a little chat about this. It was fun because there were so many things that we as adults or older adults kind of know about how you stand and how you hold someone's hand and how you walk with someone and how you greet someone and how you bow. All those kinds of things are just like, okay. And then you look at some of the teenage boys going, oh, what is this world coming to, you know? It's like I had to, I do the choir at Big Bear High School, and we wear the guys wear tuxedos for some of our concerts. And afterwards I said, now make sure to hang them up, blah, 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 blah. And I go to put them back on the racks, and they're like, I spent 30 minutes in one of our class periods showing boys how to hang pants and shirts and coats and how to, you know.
Yep. It's a production in itself.
Yeah.
Just taking care of costumes.
Yeah. Oh, talk about the costumes, man. Yeah. And to be backstage and watch all the craziness. Oh, here comes Sherry. Sherry's a ballet dancer. I don't know if you know that. Sherry Noon.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She's a former ballet dancer. So she will, if she pops in, I invited her. Hopefully she'll have something to say.
Yikes.
I know. Sherry. Sherry,
That makes me nervous.
Oh, there she is. Good.
I had a couple of teachers and dancers that I danced with who had seen the DVD as well and were incredibly impressed with what we were able to pull off with what we had at the level that we did it at. And it was really wonderful to hear that because when you're in the bubble, sometimes you don't realize just how hard these kids have worked, and to hear some experience from outside say, wow, those kids really pulled that off and did a really good job is really wonderful. So I'm actually kind of excited to see if Sherry has a comment to see what she has to say.
Unmute yourself. We'd love to hear what your comments are on the Nutcracker, being a former dancer yourself.
Well, I didn't catch the Nutcracker just now, but I saw it live at the PAC, and I was extremely impressed with a couple things in particular. First of all, Clara was terrific. I could not imagine she had so little experience on point as she had. And I loved the costume too. That was class act. But I thoroughly enjoyed the entire production because it wasn't done by children. It was done by a near professional growing up to grow into dancers kind of production. And I loved it. And I tried to get into the watch party, but I couldn't get sound because I just tried it just now. It's late.
Well, we're glad you're here, Sherry, because you have a wealth of insight on all sorts of things, one of those being dance. So thank you for your comments. That's lovely. Yeah, very lovely.
You're welcome.
We're kind of a slim group.
I was still dancing, but I'm at least 40 years old.
Yeah, understood. Understood. Sherry also has done a lot of work with cats and productions and things there too. Sherry's a wonderful, wonderful lady. Wonderful lady. So we're kind of.
I don't hear you well because I've got other things in my ears.
Yeah, understood. We're kind of a small group tonight, but we're going to keep it going for a little bit. Tabitha, you had something to say.
I just wonder, do you guys know about Maria's background and what she brings to Big Bear? Because I think it's actually really important to note this
I agree. Maria, give us a
Oh.
little rundown. All I've done is read the articles as best I can, especially the ones in Russian. Those are easy to read, that are posted
Yeah,
all
I know,
over the
right?
lobby. Yeah, all over the lobby.
Well, I started at 4 and have been dancing since I was 4. I had the opportunity to go to Russia when I was a teenager. I've studied with Deborah Polesh, who was one of the youngest members of the Royal Winnipeg Ballet. I've trained with people like Maria Vey, Jerome Robbins, and have had the opportunity to travel and to dance with ballet companies like San Francisco Ballet. As a teenager, I also did several summer sessions. I, got to go to Boston. I got to go spend some time in Idlewild at a camp called Isamata, where I got to take classes with and watch the Alvin Ailey company as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I've gotten to do a lot of things, and one of the things I got to do was go to Russia when I was 16, and one of the things I remember the most was getting to see Maya Plesianskaya do her final performance of Carmen, which was a ballet written for her. And it was like being at a football game, and she got 24 curtain calls that night and had roses up to her knees. And it was an amazing experience. However, I got to spend time there and train there as well, and ended up in Big Bear, and was teaching in Lake Arrowhead as well as at the studio that I now own. And 7 years ago, we ended up buying it and have been running it ever since, and have been exceptionally fortunate to find people like Kristen Watson and Tabitha Bigby and Julia Hill and Teresa Hoffman, who are all professionals in their own right and have been able to create a really wonderful ballet studio in a place I wouldn't have thought I could pull it off.
Yeah.
So there in a nutshell is kind of my background. And I'm really hoping to be able to continue the work that I'm doing and continue presenting beautiful Nutcrackers and having the community support it.
May I add something?
Go ahead, Tabitha.
When I first moved to Big Bear, I made a gross assumption about the studio and what it would be. I thought small town, it's going to be someone who's not well trained, who doesn't know what they're doing. It's going to be probably a lot of competition team dance, which whatever. And I walked in there and I took a class, and it was real ballet, and it was excellent technique. And I was shocked and delighted that this place where I suddenly lived had ballet, because I had thought that I was giving it up by being here. And I was very sad because I wasn't ready to stop dancing yet. And so it's been an opportunity for not just the children in our community, but for me and for Kristen to continue to dance ballet at an excellent level. So it's been a major blessing for us to have someone who actually knows what they're doing.
Thank you.
That's lovely.
It is a true blessing to be able to do what I do. It really is. And I'm really glad that I'm able to do that. And I'm glad that it's people like you and Kristen and Julia who are joining me in this. And being able to do this has been the lifelong dream for me. Thank you very much.
May I add, one of my favorite things to do is just to stand at the door of the studio and watch you instruct and teach and rehearse. I mean, there are times I'm looking and going, her point looks fine. What's the deal? And you go up and you just go, quarter of an inch more, or whatever it might be. It's that attention to detail that makes the beauty just almost overwhelming. Overwhelming. Not almost, it's overwhelming. So it's so fun to watch. And I'm so excited that Marie and we work together too on choreography for the high school. And we do some really crazy fun stuff. So we'll see what happens next year, but hopefully we'll get going again.
Thank you, Brian. I feel very blessed to have you be part of my productions, and I am so glad that you're so willing to do them. And now that you've said you will do them forever, I am definitely going to hold you to that. And I have a witness. She already said she's a witness. So
okay.
As soon as we can pull another one off, but even so, I am so blessed to be able to work with you and have you be part of this. And I want to let you know that. So thank you.
We have fun. Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
Yes,
Sherry,
we do.
You had a question or comment?
I had a question.
Okay.
when we get back in person and you're offering class again, might I come in just to watch?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
you,
I would love
because-
that.
Oh, it's been so long since I've seen a bar. I just love to watch.
Oh,
That would
please.
be so cool.
Thank you.
That would be very cool. Yes, please. By all means, come on in.
Yeah. So Maria, Tabitha, go ahead.
Our is the very first part that we do at class at the bar, and it's home for every ballet dancer.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's wonderful. So Maria, can you just give us a brief kind of overview of what things are offered at Moonridge School of Dance? Sorry.
It's all right. We offer classes in ballet, jazz, and tap for ages 3 to 93. It will be a limited schedule when we get back to the studio, but we do offer adults as well as children's classes. We have adult beginning ballet on Mondays and Thursdays.
Just
Tabitha
Thursday.
does
Just
Thursday. She does offer, and I think in the future we'll be doing another one. Yes.
Yes, but probably not on Mondays.
Yes. Probably not on Mondays, but she does offer
Thursdays.
a 6-week course in pre-ballet as well as the Thursdays
I
beginning
can
ballet.
talk to you guys about that once she's done, because I would love to tell you guys about that.
Tell us.
Do you want me to go now?
Go.
Oh, good.
Okay, so
Yep.
I love adult ballet. I took my very first ballet class at the age of 22, and I spent the rest of my 20s just throwing my life into ballet. And about 2 years ago, I had so many women say to me, I've always wanted to take ballet. And there aren't a lot of places that you can do that, because an adult beginning class assumes that you know pliés, tendus, dégagés, you know how to do, and it's like, no one knows what that is. So I developed a curriculum, and it's an adult introduction to ballet. And it teaches you how to stand, what is first position, how do you rotate from the hip, what does that mean, and how to do it safely so that you're not taxing the bodies, because we don't need to get into American Ballet Theater. We just want to have fun and use our bodies. But it's so excellent for the synapses in the brain, for balance, for coordination, strength, endurance, and flexibility. And so we do this 6-week course, and by the end of the 6 weeks, the classes all build on each other, and you're ready to go into an adult beginning class. And yes, it'll still be hard, but you at least aren't going to be blindsided. And it's been so much fun. And we've had a couple of dancers come through who've just fallen in love with ballet. Our like the one that we most champion, her name is Shonda, and she started in my class 2 years ago. She had never taken ballet before, and she'd been in love with it her whole life. And this past January, she got her first pair of point shoes. She worked so hard.
Wow.
And like, that's a big deal for her to be able to do that. And it's just been marvelous to see. So if you or anybody that you know is interested, have them get in touch with the studio, because we love to put this program on. It's so much fun to work with them, and it's for everybody. It's not just, you don't have to be tall and skinny. You can be any age, any gender. Come in, it's fun, and I will make your patootie burn.
So when is that class offered? Do you have it set up yet?
We don't have it set up yet because we're still seeing just what everything that's happening.
Yeah.
But if people will contact us, then we can start an interest list, and that helps us actually get it started, because we have to have at least 6 dancers for it to make sense for us to do it.
And it doesn't matter, just as long as they're adults, it doesn't matter men or women or anything, right?
And really 16 and up.
Okay.
Like, I want people who have adult bodies.
Yeah.
Like my sister took it, she's 19.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Tristan took it, she's 16.
Yeah. Do you offer discounts for more than one class now, Maria?
She always does.
For the adults, they actually have the option of getting a class card. So it's 10 classes for $100. So the adults can get classes for $10 a class.
Right.
Which is ridiculous. Anywhere else in the world, you're paying 17 to 27, just for the record.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's
But I want the adults to be able to come to class. So I set that up so that it's affordable. And for the most part, most of my adults end up taking extra classes or other classes and use those cards up pretty quick.
Yeah. I'm going to need to get one. Because I'm gonna start the tap class, and now I didn't realize, Tabitha, that you did that kind of pre-beginning ballet. That would be fun. I would.
You would love it because you already are oriented to just being in your skin.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's less of it, but yeah.
Yay! Yeah.
Okay. Well, is there anything else? I mean, I just want you guys to promote this studio so much because it's such a great school and so many great things going on there. Anything else you want to say before we kind of wrap this up?
I know that Scott was going to say something a little while back.
Scott, yeah.
Kind of two parts. There are times that anyone gets to the level that you guys have gotten to that you get discouraged, and you've been able to push through that. I was wondering what you've done to get yourself through those really difficult times, and also how you encourage your dancers who are facing that same type of difficult time. How do you encourage them to work through that and continue?
For me, difficult times always meant do it anyway. I was always taught, especially in the ballet world, hurts, then you're doing it right. If it's difficult, then you're doing it right. If you get off stage and you feel like you're going to throw up, you're doing it right. And I don't necessarily try to teach that to my kids, but what I do teach them is that when you fall down, you get up and you try again. That there is no such word as can't in the studio. It's either you do it or you don't. Either you're willing to or you're not. And it's always about having fun and having passion about what you do. Being dedicated, being willing to be accountable, being responsible for yourself as well as for what you're doing, and loving what you're doing. There's true freedom in the discipline. And whether they're dancers or not, and I try to let them know this, it doesn't matter if you take this and become a professional, but if you take this and you find that you're able to be a better human or be a more productive human, then I've done my job. And that it's not about the pain, it's not about the perfection, it's about the passion. It's about doing what you love to do and taking that with you the rest of your life.
I don't think there's anything else that needs to be said.
Oh, wow.
I think all of us would big gigantic thumbs up on that one. Absolutely, Maria. Well, this has been really fun. And Sherry, I'm so glad you were able to join us. I was hoping, I thought, oh, come on, Sherry, come on. And here she is. There you are. So glad you came. So you get in touch with the studio and drop by when you want. I think that'd be awesome. Yeah. Just don't come to my tap class, okay? And watch me try to do tap again.
Okay.
Anyway, so thank you, Tori. Thank you, Big Bear Connected, for pulling this off for us. You can always go back and watch Nutcracker on our YouTube channel. It's all set up there, ready to go if you want to take a look at that. So thank you also, and I want to thank to Andy Metters for pulling off the video for us and getting it to us and all of that kind of a mess. So anyway, we're going to say goodbye and thank you very much, and we will see you all soon again on Big Bear Connected. Bye.
Wonderful.